I'm early. Hello. I'm getting set up and I just want to make sure that I have everything I need where I want it, and I really couldn't wait. So, it is what it is. Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. Today we're drinking water. Before anybody's on here, I know that some people will watch this later, so you will see this beginning part, and I'll repeat this stuff at the end as well. I'm going to show two patterns today that I got offline. They were free patterns, and I will put the website that they came from up as well. And a great resource for patterns, if you're looking for free or even paid, is Ravelry, RAVELRY.com. And it's free to sign up. You get your own little profile page, blah, blah, blah. And you can browse through thousands of patterns for just about anything knit and crochet. They also have a weaving section in their forums. It's one of the best resources for any kind of fiber arts out there right now. So that's one of the best places to go if you find that you're really enjoying this and want to keep doing it. That's the way to go. The crochet pattern I'm going to talk about today, because we're going to talk about patterns, is called the Colorful Solid Granny Square Dishcloth Crochet Pattern. And you can find it, it's by Jamie Ekins. And they don't have a website on here. I thought there was. Well, anyway, this is not my pattern. This is one I got online. So you could probably look up this title and the author and get it off of there. The second pattern is for knitting. Hello. And this one I got this when I first started knitting. It's called Sue's Easy Knit Dishcloth, and that's the website I got it off of. You can tell it's well loved. Little tore up. But this one is a good one for learning your knit and your purl stitches, and we'll talk about that when we get to that point. I am going to start off with crochet today because I realized I had done something that will be a great teachable moment for you guys. So you're working on your granny square. You're getting the hang of it. You're enjoying that double crochet or toiling through it, and you're getting through it. And you realize, crap, I gotta add more yarn or I'm never gonna finish this. Well, when you're crocheting, there is an easy way to do it. You just crochet it in. So let's say we've got, looks like we've got about 8 to 10 inches left. Okay, we don't have a lot left, and we want to make sure that we don't go all the way to the end. And we know we're coming up on a chain too. You cannot add yarn during a chain, but you can do it in a stitch. So we have our other yarn. So you're going to start your double crochet just like we were doing, okay? So you're going to yarn over, you're going to go in your space, and you're going to pull up your yarn. So you've got your 3 on your hook. You're going to add, you're going to pull through 1, then you're going to drop this one. Just let it go, okay? Don't be crazy with this, but you've got your 2 on there. Take your new yarn, put it on your hook, okay, pull it through. Now you've got your new yarn attached in your old. Now this will be a little loose, and you can tighten that up when you sew in the ends, which I will show you how to do also today. All right, so then do your chain 2. Hold things a little snuggish. And then go in and start your next section that you are working on. And that's really pretty much it. That works for any of your stitches. Let's say you need to do a single crochet. I'm going to do a quick. Let's say you need to add it in via a single crochet, or you're changing colors. Well, you just go in, but don't finish with that yarn. Grab this one here. I brought extra yarn today. Don't finish the stitch, that single crochet. Now you can stitch with your new color. See? So there are a couple of that's the best way, the cleanest way, and the easiest way I've ever found to change colors with a crochet. It's for change colors or to add on the next ball because you've run out. So that's a very common thing that happens. So and then you can just crochet the new color. If you need to use that and then drop it when you come back around, you can do that. But that is that. And that stitch I made there to go down from the double to the single, it's called a half double.
I'm your huckleberry.
Shoot, I forgot to silence my texts. Oops. If you want to go from, let's say you're trying to come down from a double to a single, and then go back up, because you'll see that a lot in fan, like the curved things. So just like you're doing a double crochet, you yarn over, go into the stitch space you need, or the stitch, and instead of doing the twice, to make a double, you just continue through all 3 loops on your hook. And what that does is it creates just an extra loop. Then you can go down and do your single. And then you can do another half double, which is got your 3 loops as if you're doing a double, but instead of doing the 2 yarn overs, you just pull through, and then you can build it back up to your double. I hope that's not confusing, but you can kind of see here where you kind of step down and step back up. That is something that you will encounter in patterns. Now, yesterday I was telling you about the granny crochet square and how easy it is for practicing. In fact, my grandmother had several granny crochet squares that she had done that were in her sewing kit that I inherited after she passed away. Also, there's all different grannies. This is the most basic. She also had created several little. English today is not my. Oh my gosh, I cannot word. Stockings. Little teeny ones out of these folded over particular kind of granny squares. And I sat and puzzled it out one day and figured out how she made them. And I'll post that another time when I refine my notes on that, because that was a neat little project to do. So once again, I hope the granny square was going well for you. Don't forget that over each of these is a chain 2. I'm going to go and finish around the corner here, because I want to show you how to weave in your ends. And I've already got 2 sides done, so I might as well finish what I started, right? I'm not going to tell you how many projects I currently have on hooks and needles, because, yeah, it's called Shiny syndrome, or crafter ADD, and that is not, I hope you understand, I'm not mocking anybody who really has disorder or any of those things. It's just when you get going, you tend to get distracted by things. And so once you master a couple of stitches, you want to do all the things, and you start kind of getting a little lost in stuff, and next thing you know, you've got an entire dresser full of yarn and 2 shelf bookcases full of yarn. So not that I'll have to do a walk around sometime here this week and just show you my craft space. I've taken a couple pictures, but there's nothing quite like actually seeing it live and looking at me open up my stuff. Because, yeah, I have a problem, I think. Oh wait, did I do that right? Yes, I did. I'm okay. That's a nice thing is you can frog it, you can rip it back, and it's easier to rip back crochet than it is knitting. But that is also the nice thing is it's only yarn, it's only fiber. If you screw up, and this isn't your fancy, $30 skein of merino wool that you bought off of Expression Fiber Arts, which by the way, they have such gorgeous colors. But you will be paying anywhere from $23 to $30 a skein for her stuff because it's silk and high-end merino, and it's nice. And I've had a couple of her skeins. I think a total of 4 skeins I've had from her. 2 were gifts from very dear friends who I have been very loath to use them because they're so pretty. And I don't want to screw them up. So, one of the tools that you will need when you get further into this, don't forget that on your corners it's a chain 3. It's a chain 3 in your corners, but on your sides it's only a chain 2. And if you screw that up, it's actually okay. It's a granny square. I will show you how to read a crochet pattern and the knit patterns today, because once you get used to the stitches, that's when you're going to want to start making things. And of course, knitters and crocheters have their own language. In fact, knitting was used during the French Revolution and also during other occupations during different wars by women who would sit and watch troop movements from their windows, and they would use different knit and purl stitches to indicate troop numbers and things like that. So knitting and crochet, knitting has a long and storied career when it comes to dealing with espionage and stuff. So that's kind of fun, a little tidbit. Okay, so the end of this one, let's say this is the end of our granny square. We're not going to go any further with it. So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's slip stitch. And you remember the slip stitch is just pulling that yarn through and then pulling it through again. So we're not creating any height. And at this point, you're all done, and you want to cut your yarn. I recommend you get a pair of scissors. If you get serious about this, get a pair of scissors that you dedicate only to thread and yarn. And don't let the kids cut paper with it or anything like that to keep them sharp. I got these. They're, hi John. They are Ginger. I got them on sale at Joann's with a coupon. So these are great for threading, and they have a long and storied career being the storks. Apparently they were used by midwives, and that's why they have a stork motif. That's what I read anyway. Whether or not it's true is, it's still a neat little story. Cut yourself about 6 inches, okay? I'm going to have plenty, you're going to be trimming it anyway, but that gives you plenty of yarn for weaving in. All right, so you've got your tail, got your end, yarn over, pull it all the way through. Boom, locked off that thread. All right, but you're like, oh, these threads are hanging all over. Oh, well, it's pretty easy to deal with. I'm a creative type. I have a lot of different, hello. Hi, Kristen. I just did I just cut the end and I'm going to show how to weave in. All right. I also showed, and you can back it up and watch it later if you like, how to add in yarn if you don't have enough. Okay, love you too. I'm so glad that you're at least saying hi, and I'm trying to go slow, and I know it's kind of hard to do, but if you have questions after, post them on the post, and I will answer them as best I can, either in the next post the next day, or I'll send you a message or something. I want people to be able to get through. So I made, or I liked tea, and this was like a free gift and like a tea thing. So then I glued magnet strips in there so I could keep my needles in here. So I have some pins for pinning. Hello, and I have some. Hi, Lolly. I have you too, Kristen. You stay very safe. I have several different kinds of needles in here, having to deal with different threads, but also with different projects I do. I have a regular sewing needle, okay. I have an embroidery floss needle. I have a crewel. Crewel is very similar to a darning needle. It's a little sharper though, because it's using wool, and it's got a bigger head. Nice to see you, Lolly. It's got a bit of a bigger head. I use this on my finer yarns because if I use my darning needle, which has got a dull point and it's got a big head and it's rather thick. This one I was in my Grandma Marie's sewing kit. So this darning needle has some history for me. It was hers, and I try to keep it very safe. I thought I lost it once, and I was just devastated, but I didn't. So I keep them in my tin, all nice and safe so I don't lose them. All right, so you want to sew in those ends so that they don't make a mess. So thread your needle. Okay, just put it through. All right, so this is that center one where we started. You can tug it, actually kind of close it up a little bit. And then you'll want to just weave this into those stitches around there. That's one of the easier ones to do. Just lock it off in there, okay? And then you can, if I don't put my scissors where I can't see them, then you can just clip it. All done. All right, now this is where we added the yarn. And you don't want that to get loose. So thread your needle. Yeah, those little cans are so great, Lolly. I absolutely love them. And I have, like for my, this is a little plastic case that I keep all of my stitch markers in. I have these really cute stitch markers that my best friend Sarah made for me, and they have their little clip style, so I can use them on both knitting and crocheting, and of course my regular closing stitch markers. So I have little things to organize and keep your stuff together. I use a pencil case to hold all my traveling stuff together. All right, so we want to weave this in. Now, one of the things with weaving in either crochet or knit is you want to kind of do it at a diagonal as much as you can, and you want to hide it. You don't want all your yarn bits hanging out and everything, so you're trying to do it well. So with this, I try to weave it into the double crochet below, and you can also do it in between the fibers. Okay. You can get in the fibers and get it tucked into one of these corner spaces with all those wraps. You can pull that through. Snug it up a little, but realize you don't want to snug it too much, okay, because it'll make it too tight through here. And then, if you can, go back up. kind of lock it into place. Okay? And you can see it's pretty well hidden. Can't really see where I tucked it in. You can kind of there, but it hides in that. And this one again, it's the same kind of deal. Okay, but we're kind of up in here. So you're going to want to kind of go backwards a little bit. Tuck it in. Find a stitch to tuck it under. Okay. And it's taken me years to even figure some of this out. So if you don't get it right away and your tucks aren't very good, please don't give up. It's all a practice thing. It becomes kind of an eye thing. So then you look for, tuck it under here and weave it in over here and gently pull it through. You don't want to wreck your fibers. Tuck it all back up. Make sure you've got everything good. And maybe you want to go in this way now. Tuck that in. Okay, you got it in, got it all nice and snug and pulled back where you want it. Clip it. You never knew that that's where we added different yarn. You'd never know. All nice and tucked in. Now this is where we ended. Very much the same. Thread your darning needle. And there are plastic ones that I have seen. I don't really like them, but I've seen them. They look like this. They're really inexpensive. If you can get away with not buying these, I would. They get stuck in things. You want a smoother surface. So, these will sometimes come in kits. They're okay, but they're really hard to pull through, especially tighter yarn ones. So if you can get away with not buying these cheaper plastic ones and just keep them for an emergency, because that's what I just have it as an emergency piece. If I can't find my tin with my things in it, I have this. Then, if you don't have to buy those, please don't. They're not very good for most of our stuff. All right, so we got this kind of little knobby up here. What I do is I go behind, and you see how we have the stitch here? I pull it down through this way. Smooths it up so we don't have that little knobby sticking up. And then just weave your way down through a double crochet there. And go on into these. And I just like to go all the way through them instead of going backwards again with that one. There you go. Pull it all the way you want it. And give it a little tug. Trim it up. Pull it all nice and neat. Your end is all hidden in there. And it probably won't come out unless people are like throwing it around. Hello, Heather. So that is a finished granny square. You could now, if you wanted to, if you did that, you didn't want to change colors the way I did by weaving it in. Maybe you want to start a new color on here. Let's say we want to go purple because it's almost Easter, and who doesn't like purple? No, do not give yarn bits to birds for their nests. It actually turns out that the yarn, especially the acrylic, but even the natural fibers are no good for birds' nests. If you want to leave out stuff for nests, don't do your yarn. You're better off, your little ends, just throw in the garbage. But if you have like a ball of yarn left over, you can make pom-poms with it. There's a way called and I can show this another time, there's a thing called a Russian join where you can join different colors that you don't have enough maybe for a full ball, but you can add them together to make like a kind of a crazy color ball. if there's, if there's enough left over that, you could make a scrap blanket. They're called scrap gans. And you can do those knitting or crocheting. But whatever you do, do not put your yarn bits out for birds. It's no good for them. The ornithologists say don't do it. It's not good for their nests. Even the natural fibers and even your animal fur isn't necessarily all that good. They'll find stuff to put in their nests. All right, but let's say you want to put in a new color. So we're going to start with our slip knot, the way we always do. You're going to take your hook, put it on, and we're going to do a slip stitch in this space. Okay? So you're going to grab your yarn. It looks like you're going to do a single crochet, but you're not. You're just going to slide it all the way through. And then what I like to do, and this is a handy little trick for helping to weave in your end, is pull that tail over this way. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we don't have this bit hanging out here, and when we do our 2 other double crochets, we cover it up. 1, 2. That is a nifty little trick I learned that I had not seen on any other blog before. There may be others who have done it. I've just not seen one. And there you have your end hidden. And you don't have all kinds of stuff hanging out over here. It looks so much smoother, neater, and put together. All right, so then we do our chain 3. 2. And you can still go over your tail with that chain, with your 3 other double crochets. There we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, so you actually don't even really need to weave in the end much when you finally get done, because it's all been hidden under here. See? Nice, neat, good little tip for when you're doing this, because I'll tell you, weaving an end sucks, especially if you're doing a great big project and you've got like 500 different color changes or whatever. So anything you can do to not have to weave in a billion different ends, there you have it. So that's adding a new color after you've ended an original color, and that's how to add a new color. Okay? And how to weave in that end. And how to weave in the ends when you are done. It's actually kind of pretty, very Eastery. All right. What I want to show you, now the reason I showed you that crochet pattern earlier, and I'm going to re-show it. The colorful, solid, granny square dishcloth crochet pattern. Now, ideally, you would do this. This particular pattern recommends Burnett Handicrafter cotton yarn in 4 colors. Now, by 4 colors, they want you to do 4 different cotton colors, because it says 4 skeins. Or you can use 1 skein using and I went through and added my notes to this pattern, because I really liked the pattern, but it wasn't necessarily clear to people who were beginners. So I added my own notes to it. And this is no slam whatsoever on the person who created it. It's just I felt that I didn't understand it, and if I was going to show it to other people, it'd be hard to show them. So that is why I have added my own notes. Hi, Molly. So this is called, like I said, the Colorful Solid Granny Square Dishcloth Crochet. And again, it's by Jamie Ekins. And if you look up their blog, you will probably, I apparently did not write down the actual pattern or the actual blog. So I will go in and add that after, okay? This has 8 rounds. I'm going to talk about some terminology in crocheting. okay? So they're saying what they have here is a hook US H, size H, or a 5mm. Now if you look on your hooks, like this one just says I, okay? It doesn't give a millimeter. But others will. This is a Susan Bates, and on it you'll see it says USG 6. It's a 4mm, okay? So I need to go, to do this particular pattern, I would need to go to the next size up, which is an H. And I think I have one. Got a 4.5. What are you? You're not right. So this is a 4.5. Not quite a 5. But it will work. But I think I'm going to stick, for the purposes of demonstrating, to my I, and I'm using my I'm using my acrylic because I'm practicing this. When I actually want to make it for someone, I will use actual cotton yarn. I prefer Lily Sugar and Cream. You can use whatever worsted weight, it's known as a size 4, worsted weight cotton yarn you like for dishcloths. You can use acrylic for dishcloths. I just don't like it because it gets gross to me. It's a personal thing. You do what you like. So then they also have on here a darning needle and scissors because you're going to be doing this together. Now they have 4 colors, or you can do all in one color. You don't have to do 4 colors. You won't be changing any colors then. But if you want to practice color change, this is a great one. Now, one of the other things we're going to talk about are abbreviations. They use, now this is very common in many crochet patterns. ST will stand for stitch. CH will count for chain. SL for slip stitch, because slip. And DC for double crochet. Now again, if you're using a British pattern, their DC is our single crochet, our SC. So if it says DC on a British pattern and it is not using US terminology, okay, make sure you understand that their DC is our SC, single crochet, okay? But as this is English, or this is American and not British, we're good. So this is going to start out very similar to our, I'm going to post the link after. This starts out very similar to our usual granny square. Now our granny square yesterday started out with, I'm going to do this in purple because why not? We like purple. And this is the second kind of granny. Now you know this granny here, it's got a lot of holes in it, right? It's got a lot of spaces. This next one, this one is a solid granny. It will not have those spaces. So we're going to start out just like our other granny. We're going to yarn over and we're going to do a chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? And then you're going to slip stitch into that first chain to make the loop, just like we did yesterday with the regular open granny. Okay? So remember when you're doing it and you're making that slip stitch that you're going to get this here. So make sure you know that when you get that together, you want to make sure you can find your hole. Okay? I gotta take a drink of water. I talked so much yesterday that I made my throat sore. No, it's not the Corvid. It's I talked too much yesterday, made my throat sore. Okay. We've made our circle with our slip stitch. The first round, and they're having it in color A, is going to be a chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And then you're going to do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And then it says working in the center of the ring, make 3 DC, double crochet, CH2, so chain 2, 3 DC, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so still relatively similar to our yesterday one, okay, except that we did a chain 5 instead of a chain 3. And that is because this is going to be a chain 2 space. See the difference? When our double crochet, double crochet, double crochet is a chain 3, double crochet, then our chain space, here we're actually ending on the chain instead of beginning. Not a big difference, but make sure you pay attention, close attention, and read through your pattern a minimum of 3 times before you buy your yarn and get started. Okay, so we've got that first part done. We're going to chain 2 again, CH2, 1, 2. We're going to do another 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. The purple fell over. There we go. Okay, so we got chain 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to do 2 double crochet. All right, and then we are going to, and it says chain 2, 2 double crochet in the ring, join using a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the chain 5 we started with the round. Okay, so that's 1, 2, here's 3, because then we have 4, 5. See them right there? 4, 5. So we have 1, that one right there. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to go in and we're going to see, and I lost it. Try again. 1, 2, 3. I can do this. I believe I can fly. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we slipped in. Gonna bring our yarn through that, and then all the way through that. And there we have our beginning. Very similar to our original one, okay? Now, round 2, and that's the other thing, is they will call in these sorts of things, because we're going in the round, we're going around, they're called rounds, okay? So, we're still doing yarn color 1. Round 2, color A. So we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? And then we're going to do 2 more double crochet. 1, 2. Making our corner here. 1, 2. And then we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And then we're going to do 2 double crochet in that corner space again. Now, why aren't we doing 3? Because we're filling in all the spaces, okay? This chain 3 does not count in the corner space, okay? It only counts, it's going to count as part of our fill-in. All right, then it says 5 double crochet into each of the double crochet below, okay? So we're going to do 5, I think I'm in the right one, yep. So that means we need to do, wait, am I in the right one? Yep, into each of the double crochet below. So we need to, 1, 2, 3. Hold up. See, even I can get confused. 5 double crochet, because how are we going to do 5? I don't think that's right. we'll have 7 double crochet per side. Unless we go I've done this pattern before and I'm normally not having a problem with that. Because all we could do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh! See, I overthought it. 7 double crochet per side counts the corners. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, we have this. And you're going to do it 1, 2, 3. 1. See, I overthought the pattern and I wasn't paying attention, and that is something that happens a lot. Okay, so when we get to, so instead of doing the chain 2 like we did with the other ones, we instead did double crochets through that. Then we're going to create our corner, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochet in the space. Now what that gives us is our 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 crochet. Okay? And then we do that again. So we're on our next side, so it's 1, 2, 3. So instead of chaining like we were doing and leaving that lacy open space, we're filling it in and making it solid, but we're doing it in the granny pattern, which is a manner of making, do our 2 in the corner here. Okay, chain 2, go around, ta-da. Okay, can you see what we're doing here now? And that's going to repeat every pattern. I'm not going to do the whole pattern here right now. Hi, Kevin. I'm not going to do the whole pattern right now, because I only have so much voice for today and I want to get to the knit section. But I will post a link to this pattern. It's a good one to practice with. Even if I get confused when I'm reading through it, because, can't all be perfect, can we? Anyway, so that's what we're doing. I'll finish up this round. So we have the 1, 2, 3. See, 1, 2, 3. And if you get a little confused as to where to start, sometimes it gets covered up by your corner, but it's the stitch on top of the double crochet. Okay, so then now we've reached our other corner. So it says solid. Your corners will obviously be open, but there won't be all the openings like there are here. See? Quite falling over. All right, so 1 and 2. All right, now we've reached the side with our, remember this treble didn't count in our corners because it's counting as part of this, okay? So we only need to make 1, 2 double crochet now, and that will give us our 7 per side. 1 and 2. And then we're going to count up 1, 1, 2, 3, and you're going to do your slip stitch. Now if you are switching colors, At this point you can cut your yarn, and then you'll start over in the next color. You will slip stitch into this last one, and then do your chain 3, and then 2 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and then crochet across. So that's one way if you want to change colors. If you want to keep going with these colors, maybe you like this, what you can do is just do a solid color, is you can just chain 3, then do 2 double crochet. So you're kind of starting in the middle of the round, but that's okay. And then do your corner. So you have a couple of options with that. Okay, but that's the start of a solid granny. All right, so that was fun and I enjoyed it. And again, I will put a link to the colorful solid granny square dishcloth crochet pattern down in the comments after I'm all done with this. I'm gonna take a drink of water. I really hope I'm not confusing people. I hope you understood the weaving in and everything. Now, yesterday we were working on our knits and our purls. I am assuming everyone is doing okay. Now, one thing that happens with beginning knitters is you tend to add stitches or stitch so tight that it gets all wonky everywhere. And that's okay. You will find your tension in time. But let's say, you're getting your stuff together, you're knitting along, you're doing your thing. This is your knit together, and you realize that somehow you've managed to, when you were doing your thing, you've picked up a stitch. I'm going to try, it's hard for me to make the mistakes, and I apologize. But let's say you've accidentally picked up a stitch while you were knitting. You didn't realize it. I'm going to knit through this. This is our knit side. Remember, if we're doing stockinette, the smooth side is your knit side. It's always your knit side. What about reverse stockinette? And remember, when you knit your knit stitch, go in, make your X, pull off. I'm going to do this a tish bit quick. So let's say you get through your count. You know you're supposed to have 20 stitches, so you like to make sure and you check after you get to the end, which is taking me a minute. I apologize. There's a few different ways that you can fix that extra added stitch. So you go through and you're counting, you go, okay, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. 21? How did I get 21 stitches? And you're not sure, because you're new at this, exactly where you pick that stitch up and which one is the right stitch or not. Now you've got 2 options. One option is on this side you can try to purl the 2 together. Okay. The other option is you got to tear back. Okay. When you're new, I would recommend trying to tear back because it's good practice. To tear back, sounds scary. You have to see this. This is your stitch from your previous row. You have to remove the stitch. Show that again. Here's your new one. Here's your previous one. Stick your needle in. Come on. These wooden needles are so sticky. Okay, got your needle in. Remove it. Tearing back is all part of the game. I've done it with lace when I realized I had an extra stitch 5 rows back. And I had 300 stitches per row. I cried. I admit it. I cried. I just wanted to throw the whole thing away. I was so mad. but I tore it back because I had already had a year's worth of work invested in it, and I really didn't want to go and try to fix it. So I've got my working yarn here like I normally hold it, because you can see how the loop is. Now, I mean, you could obviously just slide it off, but then you've got to try to find that stitch again. And instead of trying to find that stitch, you're better off just very carefully sliding your needle through, sliding that off, move the stitch back down onto your left needle. Now let's say you didn't notice your mistake because you didn't count until 3 later. But I'm gonna show you how this, but let's say you didn't figure it out. One of the things you can do, well, I'm not gonna talk about that because that'll be confusing right this second. Just keep tearing back. Now, for instance, let's also say you're only like 3 rows in and you just want to restart. Just restart. Not a problem. And the same goes with crochet. I have a good friend who was working on a pattern and she was doing everything pretty correctly, but she was missing a stitch here, or she would have extra stitches there. And we were working on it, or we thought we had the problem taken care of, and she started going and she just kept getting off stitches. And I said, I'm really sorry. I think you're just going to have to frog the whole thing and start over. And she got all the way back up to round 10, which is where the problems had started. And she kept getting not enough stitches or extra stitches. So sometimes it can be that the pattern just isn't written clearly. And again, that's not to slam pattern makers at all. It's just that sometimes it makes sense to you how you wrote it, but it doesn't make sense to someone else how they try to crochet it. So, and you can kind of see you have a little bit the way the stitch is constructed. It's like a bit of a ladder. So just do this. We're almost, and you can see you're almost to where you can, maybe you figure it's got to be somewhere over here. And this stitch is looking a little funny to you, right? Because you can see how these look. And you figure that's your problem, but you're not sure if you picked up the stitch or did you yarn over yet until you get there. Because that will happen, or you'll knit. You'll grab a stitch from behind. You'll grab an extra, you do an extra yarn over like it does this, and you didn't realize that you had twisted the yarn over when you were doing it. It's all just finding, you just have to go back and find the problem. And sometimes by going back, it will correct the problem because, I mean, you saw how I picked that up, which was an easy enough mistake to do. It does happen. There we go. We're almost there. And as you're tearing it back, you'll be able to see the mistakes, the mistake that you made, and it'll be easier for you to fix it. So that you get, let's say you've torn back this far, and you realized that, oh, I just had picked up, it's not even knitted, I just picked up an extra stitch. Just slide it off, get everything boom, 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 off you go. And then you can start with your knitting again, and you can go back. Okay? Problem fixed, right? But let's say it's about 3, it's halfway down the work, you've been working on it for days, and you realize you've counted, and oh crap. There's a couple of different ways that you can fix it. You can tear back like I showed you. If you've got an extra stitch and your knitting isn't, you can do, this is going to give your yarn a twist, so people are going to see it. Also realize this, because this is a decrease, and there's 2 different ways to do these decreases, and it's going to twist your yarn either this way or this way. Okay, so people will see the mistake. So I'm giving you that forewarning. You can do what's called knit 2 together, okay? So you're gonna go into 2 stitches, just like you do with any other, like a just single stitch, okay? You're gonna do your yarn over, and you're gonna pull it through those stitches, okay? And slide it off. Now what you've done is you've decreased it. You've made 2 stitches become 1. And you'll see that it does twist your yarn in a direction. An example of this is, again, this shawl I'm working on. Okay, so these are decreases. And you can see these are what they call slip 1, knit 1. Okay, so what you do is you slip a stitch over under this, you knit 1, and you pass that slip stitch over, and that creates this decrease. On this side, you can see they go in the other direction. This is knit 2 together. Okay? So this, hello Ange. So this is when you knit 2 together, and you can see which direction it goes in. Okay? Knit 2 together will go to the right. A slip 1, knit 1, pass that slip stitch over, will cause 1 to the left. So if you use it to fix a mistake, that's what it's going to do, is it's going to show it going to one side. All right. Now what I want to show you, I'm going to take this. I'm actually going to take this off. No, you don't have to do this if you're working on your knitting and you have it on your needles. You can continue working on this with the knit the last 2 and the first 2 every row, knit the odd sides, purl the even sides. I'm just going to take it off because I want to use these large needles for another project. This one is called Sue's Easy Knit Dishcloth. Now, obviously, if you want to make it as a dishcloth, she recommends Bernat Handicrafter cotton in any color of your choice, and a 4mm hook, which is, I showed you one earlier, 4mm, which is a G, size G. Oh no, that's hook. I'm tired. It's been a day. 4mm. So if an 11 is, I don't know if I have one with. 5mm is an 8. 4mm is going to be a size 6 or 7 needle. Okay, look on your needles. You'll either have it on the end like this does, tell you the size, what it is in the U.S. and what it is in millimeters, which is European and the rest of the world, or it might say it on the very tip. If you can, this is a very long needle. You can't see it. Here's another one. So it'll show you. Anyway, starting over. For demonstration purposes, I'm using a size 10. My pretty little wooden acorn ones. Which again, I got free in a magazine because, you know, that's how they get you to buy the magazine, right? So anyway, you need 4mm, which is going to be, I want to say size 6. I can look that up real quick. I don't know why I'm being so pedantic about this. Some days I'm just having issues. Oh, I got the wrong one. It's not the right knitting gauge. Never mind. Can't look it up. I would go with a 7, to be absolutely honest. Gives you a nice big thing. So then again, we talk about abbreviations. So with crochet, it was the CH and the SC or whatever. This one is really simple. Knit, purl will be a K or a P, and it'll tell you what to do. Now this one says cast on 36. So that means you have to cast on 36 stitches. And that's the best one to use again is that long handle, the long tail. Yeah. So and that's for what? That's not for, but that's for washing people. Not for dishes, which I make mine just for dishes because I have my soft people cloths already. But that's a good, I like that. Those dishcloth patterns make handkerchiefs. That's really nice. Wool cotton blend. Some people can't have wool though is a thing and you have to be careful of if you're making it as a gift. But if you know if people in your family can use it, please do. Very good. That's a really good tip. Thank you, Ange. I like that. Okay, so pull out your length of yarn for, usually, like I said, it's usually about 1 inch per stitch. You'll eventually gauge how much you need, because you do want at least 6 inches for weaving in at the end. All right, so remember your tail is this one. Your working yarn, the one attached to the ball, is this one. Put your needle in. We're going to do the long tail cast on and do 36, okay? So remember it's under the thumb. Grab the one on this side, pull back through, pull off. And if the way I'm showing you isn't very clear, there are really good YouTubers who are showing how to do this that might have a better setup than I do. I just have my cell phone and a white sheet and the lighting in my dining room. So I'm trying my darndest to show you the easiest way to cast on and do this. So again, pull through, grab that one. I mean, it looks like some sort of complicated occultism. I promise you it is not. It's just a V. Just you pulling that tail yarn up to make so that you can secure the working yarn onto your needle. Okay? I'm going to show this real slow a couple more times, and then I'm going to just cast on, because I'm going to be losing voice, I think, soon. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. Okay? So now I'm just going to do real quick, I'm going to cast on. I'm going to do it off screen. I apologize. It's easier to hold my stuff this way. And I hope everyone is staying safe. Virginia is going on lockdown, and my husband is going to be home a lot more often. In fact, I don't think he's leaving for a while, and I don't know about you. No, I love my husband, and I am so grateful that we are where we are, and that he is doing the job he is doing, because he's really good at helping people. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm at 15 out of 36. Better get my button gear. 16, 17, 18. 19, 20, and I will link this pattern as well afterwards, so that you can use mine as kind of a demonstration if you get a little lost. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I found this one is just really good for practicing just the knit purl stitches. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 31. Get over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, so I've got 36 stitches on my giant needle. Okay? And it says to knit, 4 rows for the border. So you're creating a garter stitch border. I'm only going to knit 1 for demonstration purposes, just so I have a solid. Of course. Please do. If you have the ability to share it on your profile, please do. Share my ones from yesterday if you like. And if they want to send me a message without any questions about something I said, they want clarification, I will completely be at their disposal to help them. I'm not doing anything for the next few weeks except cleaning my house and teaching my kids. So for now, I'm going to start. Remember, you start out, you're making your X. You're going in this side of the stitch, come here. This side of the stitch, through. Okay. And, if the tail gets in the way, just pull it down. Just pull it down. You're going to tighten that up eventually anyway. So, and cotton moves a little smoother than acrylic, especially Red Heart. Aw, thank you. I'm very passionate about this. I want anybody who's interested to be able to learn how to do this and to have something, you know, I mean, right now it's a scary time. And this is very, even if all you ever do is knit stitches and you just make garter scarves until, you know, the cows come home, there's just something very zen about sitting with some sticks or hooks and some fiber and just creating something very personal just for you, you know. Or maybe it's, you know, you want to learn because you've got a grandbaby coming and you want to make them, you want to make a blanket for them, or a layette set where you make a little hat and everything. Or, you know, you're tired of always not finding, like, for example, I'm tired of always not finding the things that I want in a home store in the colors I want. Because I'm apparently weirdly picky about some things, even though I don't need to be, I just am. Maybe you've always wanted to make a tree skirt for your Christmas tree, and there are some cute Christmas tree skirts, or there's vintage patterns. Oh my gosh, some of those are so cool, and some of them are really lame, like you're like, what? But people are finding vintage patterns and interpreting them into modern terms, because they'll say wool, and you're like, but I'm not using wool, I'm using acrylic, or I'm using cotton. Wool is a generic term that was used for, because most yarns were made of wool, up until we had, you know, all the synthetics made. So, I mean, that's kind of the difference. So if it says wool, use the fiber that you're good, but you're going to use, but realize that, you know, they also use different terminologies, and people are reinterpreting them, and that's really cool. So support your reinterpreters. All right. So normally at this point you would have 4 rows of knit, okay, because that's your border. And on here we're going to start, they're telling you right here, the knit 3 at the beginning and ends of the following rows is for the border, just like we were doing on our practice piece, okay? So you're going to knit 3 at the end and knit 3 at the other end, every row, okay? And then it's going to tell you to knit 3, purl 3 5 times, and I'll show you how that works. So let's pretend this is we've cast on our 4 rows. We're starting with row 1, okay? Knit, all right, here we go. Knitting 1. Hi, Isaac.
Hi.
2, okay, no problem. 2 and 3. What can I do for you?
It's finished.
Okay, well, like I said, we'll talk about that when I'm done. You know, you should do your reading for the day. You haven't done that. You probably should. Okay, so this is our knit 3 for our border. And it looks a little funky. That's okay. Like I said, I did not do my several rows. This is just for demo purposes. So knit 3, purl 5 5 times. So you're going to knit 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to bring your yarn forward, right, for our purl stitch. And the purl stitches, you go in through the front and the back at the front of this stick. 1, 2, sounds like somebody's making popcorn here, and 3. All right, so we've done that. We've knit 1 2 3, then we knit 1 2 3, and we've purled 1 2 3. Now we're going to knit 3 again. This is our second group of this repeat. 1 2 and 3. Remember to adjust your yarn, push it forward as necessary. Okay, don't jam it all to the tip. but you'll want to move it forward so you can easily slide it on and off, okay? Because remember, the taper will mean it's too tight. So we did our knit 3. He's downstairs here. We're going to move our yarn forward again for the purl. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. It's not real easy to see just yet, but if you look, you can see the difference in the knit and the purl stitches. Okay. Guys, please don't fight. I'm on live stream, okay? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
This is the final popcorn.
I haven't had any popcorn except what you guys have given me. Then you see here, it looks like these little...
I'll give you a bowl. Sorry.
1, 2, 3, those are purl. 1, 2, 3, those are knit. I apologize. I was silent yelling at my children. 1, 2, 3, purl. Because sometimes you miscount or you forget to count and you're not sure where you are. So you're doing 3 more knit. This is our 3rd repeat. 1, 2, 3. Why don't you two share what you have, Isaac, and leave that last one for me and Dad? Thank you. Okay, so again, bring your yarn forward for the purl. 1, 2, 3. All right, so that is our next repeat done. Okay, we've got our 4th row. We're almost there. 4th repeat. So do the knit 1, 2, and 3. All right, then purl 1, 2, 3. All right, adjust your knitting so you can do it. All right, last repeat. This is our 5th repeat now of knit 3. And bring that yarn forward, purl 3. 1, 2, 3. Now that will give us 3 stitches. And remember, we're knitting 3 at the beginning and 3 at the end for our border stitch. 1, 2, 3. All right, that is row 2. So now it's going to get a little different on the other side because this does kind of a diagonal. And it creates this interesting pattern between the purl and the knits. So we're on row 2. Now, there we go. What it says for row 2 is to knit 3. And we knew that because we got our border. Can't let it curl up on us and do weird funky things. And the garter stitch border is really one of the most common, especially on scarves and other things like that. It's just very easy, and you can make it look nice too. Okay, so we did 3. Now it's telling us to knit 2, just 2, not 3. Okay, so knit 2, 1, 2. And then it says, now we're kind of doing the opposite. We're doing purl 3, knit 3 4 times. All right. So bring your yarn forward to do the purl 3. 1, 2, 3. Right. And now we're knitting 1, 2, 3. Purl, next, this is our second repeat, purl the 3, and then knit the 3, okay. Remember to try not to keep your stitches too tight. The reason it looks easy when I'm doing it is because I'm trying really hard not to have a tight tension. And I can slide them in. You can see I have the room. And like I said, if you find that your knitting has become too tight, like you're having a hard time, go up a size or 2 for practice in needles, because that will help you learn the stitches better, and will also help you keep from getting too tight. Okay, so lost where I was. All right, so I have, here's my purl 3, knit 3. Okay, so I'm up to my third purl 3. 1, 2, 3. Then knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Our last purl 3. This is our 4th set. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then we're going to knit 3. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches left. They tell us to purl 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to knit 1. And then since we're at our last 3 stitches that are the garter stitches, knit 1, 2, 3. And they all are doing every row does that, where it will change. That's why you have to pay attention, but you can see, if we go back to this side, if I can get it to spread out enough to do it, it's going to start a new pattern. It's going to start a kind of a diagonal pattern with the purl stitches creating a diagonal. Okay? I'm not going to do all of them today. Like I said, I'm going to link this dishcloth in the comments so you can practice it for knit purl. And you don't have to use it and make a dishcloth with it. Just use the pattern to practice the knit and purl. And once you get good at it, make it out of the cotton. I mean, you can use obviously the acrylic for a dishcloth, but I would recommend cotton. It tends to clean easier. I like it better. It's just a personal thing. Now, when you're looking at this pattern, you're going to see that it says, I'm going to move this down a little bit so you can see it a little bit. It'll say, you know, in parentheses, okay, it doesn't tell you this, but usually when in a pattern, if the stitches are in parentheses, those are repeats, okay? So, and then just follow what it says. 1 through 6. Then it says repeat rows 1 through 6 7 more times. So what I did is you can see my notes up here. This has been around a while. Is I made a tally mark on my paper for every time I completed the 6-row set. And then it says repeat row 1. So you just go back and do that one. And then you knit your 4 rows, just like up here, so it's even. And then you cast off. Now, I haven't shown you casting off, now have I? I will right now. Now, let's pretend that this is all, I finished this all up. Okay, this is all done. We're happy, yay! But now we've got to get it off our needles. How do we do that? Super easy. Knit your stitch, okay? Just knit that stitch. Now, knit this stitch. Now, here's where you take your left needle, stick it in here, in your first one. You're going to have to use your fingers to help you keep this from sliding off. Pull it over your second stitch. Okay? Now you've got one stitch. Knit the next stitch. Try not to knit too tight. Actually try to knit this a slightly looser if you can. Because you're going in here, you're hooking that first stitch, and you're pulling it over the edge over your second knit stitch. And you will do this all the way down. This is the easiest, most uncomplicated cast off or bind off that I know. I have a book that's full of different fancy cast-ons and bind-offs. And it's a wonderful little book. But for our purposes, this is the easiest one you will ever do. So you're going to knit the stitch. Grab that with your left needle and pull it over. Pull it over. Oh goodness. Brendan got hiccups. He's got to get a drink of water. Knit the stitch. Pull that first stitch over the second stitch. You can see here, it's creating an... Oh, you're just fine, honey. Are you okay?
Yep, I'm good.
It's creating an edge. It's actually kind of similar to this one. Now, if we continue doing these, I might show different bind-offs and cast-ons, but I really want to get you all basics. And you'll get kind of a rhythm going once you get used to it. I mean, that's the thing. Once you have the muscle memory, and once you have the just sit down and practice those 2 stitches, it all becomes quite easy to do, or at least less hard. Now, when you get to the end of your row, which I'm going nice and easy so you can see each time, because sometimes you don't catch it the first time and you gotta, yeah, sure, you can go back and rewind, but why do you want to do that? Just keep watching. I'm not the Bob Ross of yarn, but I don't have quite the voice he does. That man could soothe anybody. It's happy little trees. And there's a lady I follow that does crocheting. She does a pattern. There's a pattern called Mandala Madness. And I think, what was the name of her page? All in a Nutshell, I think is what her page was. And she has this, her voice is so soothing. I could just listen to her talk about how to do the pattern, the crochet pattern, like all day. It's this very quiet voice. It's British. But she might possibly be from India too, British India. I don't know. But she has this beautiful voice and these beautiful hands, and she does all this stuff. And I'm grateful too, because the Mandala Madness pattern was excellent. But sometimes it was a little confusing, and she sat and explained every section. 18 sections. It had 100 and some odd rounds. Like, it was insane. You know, maybe I will show you guys a couple things when I get done here, just because. Okay. So here we are. I mean, obviously this is very narrow. Make a good bookmark or something, I guess. There's your cast on. Okay. I'm going to speed it up just slightly here. So when I get to the end, and it's 36 stitches, so you know. See? I lost it. Pick it up, go back, do it. Ha! see. And always remember, it's just yarn. It's just fiber. If you have to cut it up and start over, cut it up and start over. I actually had to cut a bunch of yarn out of my vacuum cleaner because my son accidentally sucked it up into the vacuum cleaner, which will happen. Or if you have a pet, especially a cat, yeah, good luck. Mine horked up a giant ball of teal blue yarn a couple weeks ago, and of course scared me because that can get in their guts and it can make them really sick, and it's an expensive vet bill that nobody needs. So with your yarn, if you have pets and they like to get into your stuff, I recommend something with a lid. Plastic totes are good, but if you don't want to do plastic, cloth is also fine if it's got a zipper. Yeah. I think I might show sock knitting in a week. That might be kind of exciting. I haven't done a sock in a while. Man, my throat is very tired. Tomorrow I may show how to add yarn, different colors, or if you run out of yarn in the middle of a pattern. That might help. All right. This is your last stitch. You want to pull it over. Huh, somebody's got an old army Jeep. All right. At this point, you would cut your yarn, give yourself a 6-inch tail, and you would pull it through. Okay. You would pull all the way through to lock this off. Okay? So that's how to cast off when you get to that point. I hope everybody's been enjoying this. I'm going to unhook you from my camera. I'm actually going to unhook you from that too. And I'm going to take a drink of water. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give y'all a little quick tour of the area where I keep all of my craft stuff.
Hi.
Hi. So this is a shelf that I just got from Aldi. And this has, now obviously it has more than yarn, right? Well, that's because I have a lot of different things I like to do, such as drawing and painting and sewing. And oh yes, this is my stuff for my dollhouse that I am building. There's more right there too. This is one of the mandala projects I'm working on, that's crochet. Obviously this is a boatload of yarn. This is my library. I have all kinds of knitting stuff and crocheting books and magazines. And apparently I'm also #CraftyAF. This is another Afghan I'm working on. This one is full of cotton yarn and scrubby stuff. And I'll show scrubbies another time. Underneath that is finished projects need to be blocked and or put away. That's the mandala madness I was working on that I got to row 83 or something like that, and I said I'm done. It'll fit a twin comfortably, a full pretty well. Queen, it'd be nice on a queen. It's huge. But I also keep, this is where I have my stash of knitting needles and hooks, my embroidery stuff, my yarn swift, pair of crochet slippers I made that I need to fix. They're getting a hole in them. This is where I have some kind of odds and ends. This is my sock yarn stash. It's 3 deep and 2 tall. My crochet thread for doilies on the other side. This is all yarn. I didn't buy all this, by the way. Someone gave it to me. I promise. This is Darn Good Yarn. It's a company that hires women in India to do recycled sari yarn. So this is all silk, recycled sari yarn, and I was part of that club. It was a Mother's Day gift from my oldest son Gabriel last year. This is a dollhouse I am working on. It is an extreme work in progress. I have a lot to do, but I am creating a Jane Austen inspired dollhouse. I actually built this, and I made all these little tiny books. That's just foam board and paper. I also crocheted. This is thread crochet. And I have even teenier. That's not even the tiniest one. Oh no. There we go. Yes, I am quite crazy. Then in here, I have yarn. Oh, what's this? More yarn. This dresser, by the way, was given to me by my great-grandmother when I went to college over 20 years ago. Oh, look, more yarn. What is this? Oh, it is full of worsted weight yarn. And, wonder what's done here. Bulky weight yarn. So, yeah, I kind of have a problem, but it's better than smoking.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So this is the only thing I really need over here right now in this space. All I need is a card table. I already have a chair. Sorry. And all I need is a card table, and I could set up and do all my crafts right here. I got plenty of space. But I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope you enjoy it later. Please put questions in the comments. I'm going to link, like I said this many times, I'm going to link up those two patterns. Thank you all very much for putting up with me and my craziness. And we will see you all tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye-bye.